Hello and welcome to part two of the Audio University Black Friday special. This time we're talking about live sound. Ask whatever questions you've got, though. In particular, though, I'm here to answer questions about live sound systems, right? Today's a good day, obviously, as we all know, to get some good deals on things. But you may or may not know exactly what to buy for what you're trying to do. So that's why I'm here to help you out. We've also got our co-host Sam. If you're unfamiliar with Sam, she's working a lot back behind the scenes at Audio University. So she's a really essential team member for us. And even though maybe you don't recognize her, you've definitely seen her videos if you've watched Audio University videos. Okay,
Thank you. Excited to be here.
but yeah, so Sam put together a Google Doc that has all of the sales that we've found and that we'll be sharing here on this stream. You can find that by clicking that QR code up on the corner of the screen, or you can find it in the description below the video. Um, One thing I want to say before we get started, full disclosure, this is a big day for Audio University, and that's because one of the best ways you can support the channel is by using our affiliate links when you purchase things. Okay, so if you are going to buy some things today, one way you can support Audio University is by clicking one of those links in the description of the video and in that Google Doc. And when you do that and you purchase something from that company, we'll get a small commission at no extra charge to you. So it's basically a win-win-win for everybody. Um, Sam, what do we have in terms of live sound deals?
Sure. Yeah. So we definitely before we get some questions coming in.
Oh yeah, if you have questions, leave a comment with 3 question marks before and after your question, so we can find it and help you out. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, gifts that rock, Sweetwater live sound deals. Let's take a look at some of these. Um,
Nice. So we've got that's I think what we've mainly found in the live sound side is like each retailer will have a page where they've got live sound stuff
mm-hmm.
available.
Right.
The individual deals, there were more of those on the studio side that we
Mm-hmm.
found. All of that is in that Google Doc, by the way.
Yep.
But as you can imagine, like live sound is so much more I don't know, it's situational, right? So you have one home studio and you basically get the gear to work in that home studio and it works for most projects. Whereas live sound, if you're trying to do small shows, maybe this system would be good for you. If you're trying to do big shows, that system's not going to work. You're going to need something bigger. It depends on how many inputs and outputs you've got. We all know this, all right? If you have any specific questions about the system for whether it's your house of worship, or you want to get a system for your band's practice space, or you want to get a system for your band to play some shows, or you want to start a rental company and start acquiring live sound system gear that you can use and rent out to others, let us know. Okay.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm curious. So I know you know a lot more about live sound than I do. I'm definitely more of a recording and post production person. So
Yeah.
if I wanted to get into live sound, what's some equipment that I should own, that I should have on hand, that maybe I should bring to some gigs, assuming that, there's a console already for front of house, and what's just some equipment that I should already own?
Yeah, I'd say so. The most common starting point for a live sound person is either you're going to go work at a company that already has all the gear and rents it out, or you're going to go do sound at like a house of worship or church or something, or you're going to start your own collection, right? So let's start with that last one, where you're going to actually you're the person with the gear, and you're trying to do small to medium shows. Okay, what I would recommend, and actually, Sam, let me get back to that page. I'm going to go to that page here on Sweetwater. And there we go. So, where's the live sound stuff? I got to find that again. There we go. So, I'd say the most common way to start a live sound system is with a powered speaker. Okay, so the QSC K12 is a solid option. And the reason I think a lot of people start with things like this is because you can get that. You could put it on some speaker stands, point them toward the audience, and they have amps built in. So now you just take the outputs of your mixer, you go straight into those powered speakers, and you're able to get sound from your mixer out to the audience. Or you could take one of those things, maybe a third one, and put it on its side and plug another output into it, and now you've got a stage monitor. So I think that the most versatile way to start a live sound system is probably with a powered PA speaker, because that can someday be a good floor wedge for musicians on stage. Maybe even when you upgrade your studio or your main speakers down the road for a bigger gig or something. Now, this is if you're going to be carrying things around, right? Because it's so simple and compact that you just basically take it out of the bag, plug it into power, and plug signal into it, and you're good. If you're doing a whole install or something like that, it might make more sense to uh, probably talk to somebody like a company to help you design something that's more custom for what you're doing. But once you've got, let's say you go the powered speaker route, so you've got your powered speakers that face the audience, and you've got your floor wedge that faces the musicians. Now you're going to need obviously some way to get sound to those, and in that case we're looking at a console. Okay, you can do a analog console. I think Mackie has some analog consoles on sale for Black Friday today. You can find that in that link doc with the link in the description below the video. Analog is pretty limiting, though. I'll be honest. I think that nowadays you can get digital consoles for really quite cheap in comparison to what they used to be. So here, let's see what this is. So we've got Allen and Heath PreSonus consoles. Obviously, there are a lot of different options, but I've got a full video that shows the benefit of using a digital console over an analog console. Um, there are many benefits. You can switch layers. You've got built-in effects. You've got more flexibility for routing. It's easier to get to things if you're used to it. Some people would say analog's easier to get to things, and it has the ability to often mix remotely with a tablet. So these consoles all, I would assume, have the ability to connect to a Wi-Fi, and you can get a tablet that's on the same Wi-Fi, and you can control things. That's helpful because, as you probably know, as a live sound person, you're not always at a good front of house position with your console. Often, the visual aesthetics get prioritized, and you have to put the console off to one side, and it makes it difficult to mix from behind the speakers, right? But if you can get a digital console that's connected to a Wi-Fi system, and you can control that with a remote iPad app or tablet app, that's going to be a lot better. And modern systems, a lot of people are actually ditching the physical control surface altogether and just going with something like these. These are stage boxes, but I'm trying to find these rack units. I don't see any sales on Sweetwater for those, but basically, like Behringer and Midas and lots of other companies have units that are just rack units that go into a rack, backstage or side stage, and the only way you control that is with an iPad app. And I think that saves you a lot of money and can be a really good solution if you are one of those people who kind of needs a remote controller rather than a physical controls thing that's off to the side of the stage, if that makes sense, you know?
Cool. We actually have a related question.
Okay.
DAW mix, broadcast mix, or the dedicated bus mix for broadcast? And is the Behringer wing rack worth it? Which, before you answer, I actually have a sale for rack on Sweetwater, assuming this is
And this is
what
exactly
you're
what I was talking about.
right.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So we have $46 bundle savings, $71 bundle savings. So definitely of bundles, you save $500. So
Yep.
good deals
And
here.
at that point, you're getting the rack itself to put it in, right? And some cables, it looks like. Can't really see from here. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth it if it's a good solution for you. I think that if you're a person who really wants physical faders, then don't do that because there won't be physical faders. But these systems do work pretty well. So if you're somebody who could sacrifice the tactile sensation of a console, but you still want the flexibility of a digital console, I think something like the Wing is really powerful. You can see though, look at the price difference. This is a bundle. It's kind of hard to compare apples to apples, but you can buy the Wing that's the actual mixer, or you can buy the rack version, and it kind of just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice. If I was if money wasn't an object and I was just building my ideal system, obviously I would have a physical console and an iPad controllability. But if you are looking for ways to save some money and you could sacrifice that physical control surface, I think something like the rack mounted options are really compelling.
Very cool. We also have another question. Looking for pro in-ear monitors from either Shure or Sennheiser. Is there any deal going on? I would prefer a dual receiver type. So let me share my screen. I did see some in-ear monitors on Sweetwater, but it doesn't look like they're on sale. Kyle, would you prefer Shure or Sennheiser, or what's your opinion?
I think they're both really, really good options. Right now, we're kind of talking about a few different things, right? Because these that we're seeing are the wireless systems that would allow you to have a wireless in-ear monitor on stage. And Shure and Sennheiser are definitely the leaders in the wireless space. You can also do something hardwired, or if let's say you play a lot of bigger shows where a company's already providing the IEM wireless system, but you just want to plug your own IEMs into the belt pack that's given to you, then you start looking at, well, Shure and Sennheiser also have really good options for just the headphones themselves, but then you also have the ability to get like custom molds for your ears with a company like JH Audio or something like that. Um, I would assume let's assume you're starting from scratch and you just want the ability to get your monitor mix not from the wedge that's given to you, but you want to be able to give the sound guy a wireless system um, that they can plug an output into, and then you take it from there, basically. Uh, that I would probably go with either Shure or Sennheiser for that. I think Sound Devices is starting to do some cool stuff with wireless, but in this realm, Shure and Sennheiser are definitely the leaders. Um, and then you get into like I said, the actual IEMs. I think those systems will often come with that. But if you wanted to take that up a notch, again, Shure and Sennheiser have really cool options. But then you also get into kind of these more boutique brands, like what is it, J Harvey? I think I think that's what it's called. No, JH Audio, I think. Yeah, yep. So you've got these right here. Now these you would actually go to an audiologist or you'd go to one of their locations and they make a mold of your ear, and then you choose which configuration of drivers you wanted. Let's say you wanted this version, they would build that for you and send it to you directly, right? It's not something you can buy on like Sweetwater or something like that. If you wanted to do a true custom molded, that's actually really powerful though, custom molded, because the amount of isolation you get is much, much better, and you can also get better bass and really better response throughout the entire frequency spectrum if you do something like this. And they have tons of different options. I don't know if they have any Black Friday sales, but as you can see, that's a lot more expensive than what you'd pay for a universal pair. So if you're wanting the premium, in my days in live sound, seeing a lot of musicians and engineers walk through, um, these are often what you see. This is a really, really popular brand if you want like the best of the best. They do also offer some universals, and then as we saw over on the Sweetwater page, you can get a lot of universal earphones over here too. Yeah. So we've got like Westone, like I mentioned, Shure.
Nice.
Um, yeah, yeah. So really, I know that's just like basically I just told you all of your options, but knowing so little about what you're actually trying to do and the budget you're working with, I think that's the best answer I can give you. Okay.
Cool. We have a great question. When recording live, is it possible to record all your different tracks from your mixer to your DAW? If so, which medium Rode mixer comes to mind?
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of mixers will allow you to use the mixer as basically an audio interface. So there are a few different ways you could do this. You could do something like if you wanted really simple and lower budget, like the Tascam Model 12, um, or the whole Tascam Model series. It works and feels almost like an analog mixer, but it allows you to it's a digital mixer, and it allows you to put a SD card in it and record a multi-track straight there. So my friend Ernesto, who you've seen on a lot of my videos, he uses this in his rehearsal space, which is nice. He's able to plug in his microphones here, and it records a multi-track that he can then play back and sort of compose and arrange on this thing. But again, that's going to be that console's pretty limited in terms of, are you actually doing live shows where you need to mix and cut out feedback and use reverb and all these different things. In that case, you look at something like the Tascam, what's it called, Sonic View, I think. The Sonic View also it's a little bit more expensive, as you can see, a little bit. But this would also allow you to do something similar where you're putting a SD card in there, or you could actually connect this via USB to a computer. The same with the Model 12. You can either go straight to an SD card, or you could connect a USB cable to a laptop with a DAW running on it. And now you're able to take all of those tracks um, before any processing and record clean tracks to a DAW session that you can mix later on. So this console comes to mind. If you wanted another popular option, the Behringer X32 is up there. They also have a rack unit version similar to the Behringer Wing situation. You've got the Midas M32. That's another good option. Doesn't look like they're running a big sale for Black Friday, at least on Sweetwater. But yeah, a lot of the digital consoles that you'll find these days do have that ability. If you wanted to do the same thing with analog, I probably wouldn't recommend going analog because of it's kind of complicated. You would basically send in all your mics to the analog console, and then hopefully there's a direct out on that channel that you could take to some sort of audio interface. That gets pretty expensive. And it sort of helps you understand the value of going with, a $4,000 console like this. It seems really expensive, but when you consider that you can do a big multi-track session with no issues, um, see that it says right here, 32 channel, 48 kilohertz audio interface. Uh, that's actually really remarkable for that price when you consider you'd need an analog console. You need all the cabling to take the direct outs to a big 32 channel audio interface, which is itself probably going to cost several $1,000s, right? So yeah, I think you're onto something. I'd look probably into the Midas M32 or the Sonic View, something like that. I wonder. Let's go back to those console deals and see if there's anything on here. So I'll just go back. Do we have any other questions while I'm looking this up?
Yeah, we do, and it's actually pretty similar. I am in a band that has no dedicated sound engineer. We have powered speakers already. We may need a mixer on stage. What's a good option to mix ourselves? A six-piece band.
Nice.
Back on the mixers.
Yeah. So to answer that initial question, we do see some big sales on these mixers, and what you're looking for is, see, this one has SD card recorder. You'd want to look into that and make sure that it's not just a stereo recorder. Okay, you'd want to actually get into the specs on that. And the real keyword you're looking for, if you wanted to do the DAW route, would be USB audio interface. You can see this one, Zoom Live Track, has 22 inputs, 4 outputs over USB, right? And then you can go down here, the Midas M32. As we saw before, it has 32 channels. And this one comes with a stage box, and that is a Black Friday deal. So that would be my answer to the first question. And now we've got the question, you're in a band, no dedicated sound engineer. In this case, I think one of those wireless rack units would be really helpful, because what are you going to put a big console like next to the drummer, or something? It probably makes more sense to have the console in a rack somewhere that you guys just carry around. You plug all of the inputs into it, and then somebody mixes with an iPad out in the audience. Um, so you say a 6-piece. I'm going to assume you've got a drum kit, and you've got like a guitar, and you've got a bass and keyboard. You're probably going to want at least 16 tracks, probably more like 24 or 32 tracks, or channels, I mean. So yeah, I think, where was that? We've got the Behringer Compact here. Did they have their rack version as a Black Friday deal? I don't think they do, actually.
I don't think as a Black Friday deal.
Okay, but yeah, something like the I think they call it the X32R. No, rack. Yeah, that's what they call it. So something like this here would be a good option if you wanted better preamps and just generally better quality. You could do the M32 rack, which is by Midas, instead of Behringer. Actually, it doesn't look like that's what that's called. They call this the C. So yeah, the M32C could be a good option. Although on the back of this, I'm thinking of two different things. The back of this, you'll notice, is kind of designed for AES 50, like if you were using stage boxes. But the actual Behringer one is going to have analog I/O on the back of it. So that's probably the way to go, because now you've got all of the mic inputs you can just go straight into. Keep in mind, like if you're taking this to a music venue, are you trying to run sound for the audience and for your own monitors, or are you trying to just run sound for your own monitors? Because the difference would be, if you're trying to do sound for both of those things, you could take all the microphones directly to this, and then just take 2 of these outputs to the audience's speakers, and then take a few of the outputs to like your IEMs as a band, or some of the floor wedges. But if the venue you're playing at already has a system, and you want to run your own monitors, it may make more sense for either the sound guy to just send you some direct outs, kind of, or like mix downs of the instruments, so that the sound person at the venue can still mix, and then just sends you a few options to use for in-ear monitors or something. Or you would have to take everything in directly to, like, mics directly to this piece, and then send the sound person something, either through analog or digital connection. Hopefully you're saying you want to run the whole thing for yourself. I say that as a sound guy who's dealt with a lot of people who bring their own stuff, and it can be a little bit annoying, although it does often result in a better performance if they're all in-ear monitors, keeping that stage volume down. Anyway,
Cool.
Sam, save me. I'm ranting.
I gotcha. Is the Wave sound grid reliable in live sound? Can we talk a little bit
I
about
haven't
that?
used that in a while. It was kind of first hitting the scene, I think, back in like 2014. It was difficult to integrate back then. I don't know what they've done these days. I don't really have a great answer for that, to be honest, because I haven't used it much.
Okay.
But to help people understand what that even is, SoundGrid is a way that you can use Waves plugins in a live environment
Cool.
without having to worry about like going through a DAW session that could crash at any moment.
Cool. We
I
have
think
another.
though they do have some sales going on though. Is that true?
They do, and we do have those linked. I'll
Okay.
go ahead and also share some sale waves.
So were they available on both? Yeah, right here on
Yeah,
the Sweetwater
Sweetwater
page.
and
Okay.
on the page. So it looks like the live sound, not so much. Um, Mainly the software,
Mm-hmm.
the VSTs, they have some good deals.
Yeah.
$3,000 off the Waves Horizon plugin bundle is pretty cool.
And
Twenty
if
eight
you go
hundred.
up one row and you see that
Mm-hmm.
SoundGrid server,
Yep.
is
Right here.
no over
Oh, right
here.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are these on sale or is that just the regular price?
These aren't on sale
Okay.
currently.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess it's not necessarily like you're going to save a bunch of money today, and I couldn't even answer your question if it's reliable. So sorry for the disappointment.
No worries. There's the another question from the same person actually, so maybe we can
Okay.
redeem ourselves.
Oh,
Do you prefer point source or line array? Maybe we could talk a little bit about what that means.
yeah, yeah. Both of them are good for different situations. Basically, a point source would be the most basic type of of speaker, which is just a source that everything comes from a point, right? So, in a theoretical world, the sound would go out in every direction evenly at all frequencies. In the real world, a point source is generally going to be kind of directional at some frequencies. So the lower frequencies might go out in every direction, but the higher frequencies might be more directive. The line array is helpful when you have a situation where there's a speaker here and the audience here, and this person's so close to the speaker, and this person's really far away from the speaker, but the speaker is providing sound to both those people. That means that it may be pretty good level for the person in the back row, but you're like ripping the face off of the person in the front row, because in order to get a point source to be a certain level in the back row, it has to be really, really loud in the front row. But if you have a line array, now you've got, first off, kind of different boxes for different sections of the audience, but you've also got the effect of a line array, which is where these speakers are going to couple and they're going to behave almost as one source. Okay, so now as opposed to a point source where you've got, let's say, 100 dB right here, and then you double that distance and you've got 94 dB, a line array is going to have less attenuation over distance, um, just because of the way the speaker is able to couple with the other speakers and create a line array. I hope that makes sense. We should really make a video on this. Got to hit up Dave Rat and get him to help
Yeah,
us
I was
make a
gonna
video.
say we have a good video with Dave Rat where I believe he goes over a little bit about the line array and point source information, right? But
Yeah,
it's
well,
yeah.
if he does that in our video, that's cool. But I know for sure he's got a video of his own that it was about Coachella and the system he put there. So yeah, I would definitely recommend looking at that video. Look up Dave Rat line array Coachella, and I think that will help you find it. That's a really cool video.
Very nice. Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
Govinda wants to know, can you tell me a portable speaker with built-in microphone option with Bluetooth? Can you think of something that comes to mind that has all those features?
I haven't really looked into that too much. With Bluetooth, I think. Let me look here and see. Okay, 12.2. I want to see if this QSC 12.2 has Bluetooth. I don't think it does, but let's look. Um, well, I guess I could just do this. No, that one doesn't have it. So I've definitely used the K12.2, and it's a solid speaker. I think maybe the Mackie Showbox has Bluetooth. Let's look at that. This is kind of a cool option if you're trying to do something on the street, because this can actually be battery powered, which is kind of nice. Man, I remember going out to try to play guitar and like busking on the street trying to find an outlet on the street. Come on. And then, but anyway, back to the Bluetooth thing. This one can be, yeah. So this one does have onboard Bluetooth. Now, it really depends on what you're trying to do with it. So again, I think it was either in this stream or the previous one where I said you kind of need to start with how loud do you need it, at what distance, and then kind of work your way back. So I'd recommend looking up some of my videos about that, about choosing a speaker. If you're looking for something pretty small, I think this would be a good option. But if you were doing like a show with a full band behind you, you would want probably stereo on actual stands. And in that case, you're probably better off looking for a mixer that has Bluetooth than an actual speaker that has Bluetooth. Because think about it, Bluetooth can only be point to point. So if you have a speaker with Bluetooth, you can only connect to either the left speaker or the right speaker, right? But if you have a mixer that's Bluetooth, now you can connect Bluetooth to the mixer and send the signal to both the left and right side. Okay, I hope that makes sense.
Cool. And while we're on that, it'd be a good time to highlight actually some of those Mackie Holla deals, as they call it. You showed the show box.
Deals.
Yep. But you can save 15% on select Mackie loudspeakers and mixers. Again, we have this link in that Google Doc, so make sure to go there to get that link. But we have mixers on sale, speakers on sale. For that point you just made about Bluetooth, is there a specific Mackie mixer you think would be helpful?
I think a lot of these are going to have it. I'd have to click in there and look specifically, but I know if I've got like the Pro FX series, and that one has Bluetooth. It just comes in on a channel. It's kind of nice. Like it's got a Bluetooth channel, you know.
Very
So
nice.
if you maybe click into one of those,
Sure.
and we'll see. It's so small on my screen, so maybe
Oh,
you won't
okay.
see. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's okay. But yeah, just look into, like Sam is showing here, there are some analog mixers that might have a channel dedicated to Bluetooth, like these Mackie mixers. Some of them have, and then of course, like you can also find that feature in some digital mixers as well.
Awesome.
Okay,
We have
let
another
me take a
question.
moment to
Sorry.
talk about the membership though, because gear, it's fun, you know, but if you actually want to get better, you probably need to learn to use the gear you've got. I never heard a person with a lot of experience say, yeah, the thing holding you back is you just need this gear. The skills, don't worry about that. Just get gear. Like everybody who is a true professional in this industry will tell you that the best gear with no skill is not going to get you very far, but a lot of skill with any gear, you could potentially make it work. Okay. So the Audio University membership is where we make monthly courses. You're able to communicate not only with other members, but also with the instructors of those courses and myself, so that we're able to basically take this YouTube thing that's just constant information coming at you and turn it into something a little bit more sustainable, where you're actually getting information and you're putting that information into practice, and you're getting feedback on your mixes, and you're getting the community element that can help you meet future clients, or at least just like not feel alone in this world, you know. But tell me if I'm alone or not. If you ever tried talking to one of your friends that isn't an audio person about audio, yeah, yeah, nothing makes you feel quite so alone as like saying, hey, look at this new saturation plugin I got, you know, to somebody who doesn't care. But when
Yep.
you actually have people that you can talk to, it makes a big difference, not only in feeding your soul, but also in getting better and sharpening your skills. So that's why it's Black Friday. You know, we wanted to be a part of the fun. So right here, the QR code, that'll give you a discount for an annual plan. That's the best price that we've had since launching the thing. So definitely check that out. Yeah, you'll you'll actually be joining at a pretty good time, because we just released the Mixing Essentials course, which talks about EQ, compression, reverb, and delay. Plus, it's got like a big mix walkthrough, and this is all taught by Professor Gabe Herman, who's been mixing for over 25 years professionally. He's been teaching for over 20 years at universities, and he's just one of the best teachers I've ever met. So if you join today, even on a monthly subscription, then you'll get access to that course instantly. And yeah, hope to see you there. It's been really
Absolutely.
cool. Sam, you've been a big part of the membership. You
Absolutely.
tell them how good's that course?
It's incredible. Gabe Herman, like Kyle was saying, is just such an incredible teacher. He knows how to use audio tools from his experience in his career, but he also knows how to teach them because he's been a professor for almost 20 years,
Yeah,
around
I
20
think
years
more.
of teaching,
Yeah, yeah.
more than 20 years, and he's really incredible. And we've had such great feedback from people about maybe they've had some experience using audio tools, but they didn't really know what was going on before they learned from Gabe Herman in the Mixing Essential course. In addition, we also have mix reviews in the membership, which is really cool. Just personalized mix reviews where Professor Gabe Herman can actually go into your session and
And it's not only Gabe that does that though. Like we've had other guests.
right.
I think what was it, Miles Fullwider, another
Yep.
professor, and Baki. I forget his first name, but he works at Power Station New England. Like
Yep.
really legit mixing and recording engineer.
Yep.
Listening to your mixes, giving you feedback. And again, like I was thinking really hard. What's the difference between an in-person and a YouTube learning experience? And it's kind of that it's just one directional.
Yep.
And that's great. And I think we can learn so much now. But again, you've got to put it into practice, and you've got to check that you understand, that you know what's going on. So like after this stream, I'm jumping straight into a stream with our members where they can jump on basically in a Zoom call with us and ask questions about mixing or about whatever audio stuff they want to talk about or share. So that's what we're trying to do is like YouTube's fine, and we're going to keep making free videos for you. That's what got us to where we are. But the next step, if you want to take it further, would be the membership. All right, let's move
Absolutely.
on. Let's move on.
All right, cool. We have a question. I had a big festival gig last year. I was blown away by the in-ear mix. I cannot achieve that mix with my small band in bars and pubs. Is it the gear or is it the engineer?
If it was a big festival, the sound had somewhere to go, is my assumption. First off, there was probably an engineer there that has done this a time or two before, right? So I would say definitely it has something to do with the engineer and their skills, but also there's just like if you're in a small club, the drum kit alone is going to be so loud that the sound's going to reflect back, and it's going to create a lot of phase interference and all of these different things that we tend to think sounds muddy and just um, not clear. So yeah, I would say it's probably a combination of small venue versus open field, and like guy who probably doesn't care that much mixing versus somebody who does care a lot. It's hit or miss when you're playing small club gigs, as we all know.
Cool. We have another question. Not so much live sound specific, but I think it's a good point. What headphones will be ideal for each DAW for any audio interface? So it's an interesting question because I don't usually think of headphones as DAW specific, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think I'm glad you brought that question up here, Sam, because I would say if you're thinking about it that way, maybe take a step back, because a DAW, in terms of sound quality, will probably be apples to apples across the board.
Yeah.
Pro Tools is going to sound kind of the same as Logic, which will sound
Yeah.
the same as Reaper, which will probably sound the same as Audacity,
Yep.
And then audio interfaces, there might be a little bit of a difference there in terms of like how it changes sound coming in through the microphone inputs. There might be a tiny difference in how the converters work. There might be a difference in how the headphone amplifier works. But for the most part, the DAW and the audio interface are intended to be pretty transparent, okay?
Yep.
So that what goes in is what's recorded, and what comes out is what has been recorded, right? So I wouldn't be thinking headphones ideal for which DAW or which audio interface. What I'd think instead is headphones that's ideal for you, right?
Yeah.
That you understand when things pass through these headphones, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
If
It's an
you
interesting.
feel, I was just
Sorry.
going to say one more thing. If you feel like your headphones are standing in the way, but you've got, pretty good pair of headphones, maybe look into something like SonarWorks, because that's intended to counteract the impact of your headphones, which would be much more drastic than the impact of your audio interface or your DAW.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point because a lot of people are always wanting to upgrade as maybe they get more experience and they want to be become more of a, let's say, professional. So I think a lot of people are saying, oh, I want better headphones or this or that. But I think you've made this point a lot. If you understand the sound of your headphones and you know where they lack, you know, where they boost, etc., that's really the most important thing.
Yep.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, gear. I don't know. I think it's because of this world we're living in, where I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a creator. I'm trying to teach people, but often, part of the way we keep this business alive is by working with companies to talk about gear. And I think sometimes some videos that I've seen on the internet are like, they're a little bit disingenuous, where it's like, this gear is what you need to do what you want. But like, really get some basic gear and then start practicing
Right.
and learn the skills, and then you'll understand how to make pretty much anything happen with the gear you've got, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have another question here. Which is more isolating, molded in your monitors or those headphones you featured in the drum video with Sennheiser?
Oh, interesting question. So I would say I'm not really sure, to be honest. I've never done a side by side comparison. I use molded earplugs. I don't really use molded IEMs that much. Um, Another good, if you're looking for a recommendation for isolating headphones, it would be, I think, Direct Sound has some of the best ones. Direct Sound has a really good ones. Let me see if I can find what the model number is. Thanks, Mac, by the way. Baseface 5000. That's Mac from our membership. I appreciate you joining. Um, yeah, so these here are the EX29s. These are really quite good. 36.7 dB, and those are passive attenuation. That's an important point. I probably wouldn't recommend using active attenuation or active noise canceling headphones for music production. Okay, if you're going to do something, I'd recommend doing passive, whether it's closed back over ear monitors like these, or whether it's like a molded IEM. But again, I'm not really sure how they'd compare. My intuition tells me that you'd probably get more isolation from an over ear thing. Um, what I've done in the past, when it's like ridiculously loud outside, is I might even put my earplugs in and then put something like these headphones over them, and then I'm just able to turn up the headphones louder without damaging my hearing. So now, if you think about it, like as I turn up the headphones, only the signal gets louder, and the noise outside stays the same. Um, of course, that works if you're just doing monitoring and stuff. But if you're recording acoustic guitar, you probably want to keep that level down a little bit. Otherwise, the click track or the backing track could actually be heard by the microphone coming out of your headphones. So, yeah, Mac, that's a good question. I'd be interested to hear if you said recently that you got some IEMs. I'd be interested to hear the difference you hear if you try out some of these direct sound headphones.
Nice. We have another question. Is it a good practice to apply stereo compressed effects to a vocal group such as the Ultimo Compress effects, which I believe is a part of the X32, right? Behringer?
Ultimo Compress Effects. I don't know it by that name, but you can totally do a bus compressor on those consoles. Yeah, I mean it's a practice to do it, and I'd say like it's all situational. That's one thing I want to reiterate. It's all situational. Um, what you might want to consider though is, am I using a bus compressor to fix problems that could have been better addressed earlier on in the signal chain? Like let's say you've got three background vocals and one of them is really has bad mic technique, or isn't very good at controlling their dynamics. Maybe you should use a compressor on that person and then just leave it off of the bus compressor. Or maybe there's a use to use a compressor on the individual channels in one way, and then they all mix together, and that having the compressor there changes the way you're able to use the bus compressor. So I'd say use your ears and make that decision for yourself, but it's definitely a common practice to use a bus compressor to sort of like glue a group of background vocals together.
Break from questions for Time to go over once again just what deals in live sound are happening right now and maybe what you would recommend and what you see that really stands out here.
Yeah. So I'm digging through here as well on my end. If you want to keep going through those,
Sure.
like I said, it is such a modular world, live sound, that it's kind of just depends on what you need. Like I can't say everybody right now needs to
Right.
go pick up this mixer, you know,
Right.
but I would say that we're seeing some pretty good deals here, as well as um, Shure, I think, has some good deals on mics. So that's something like if you're just looking for a good deal to take advantage of today, maybe pick up some more SM57s, or if those are on sale, or um, perhaps check out some of their IEM wireless systems or their um, wireless mic systems.
Yeah, I heard once that every live sound person has another 57 on them or just a few
Yeah. Yeah, what
Shure
is the
mics.
57 price?
50,
$10 off.
$10 off.
Unprecedented. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? If you need a
Yeah.
bunch of 57s,
Yep.
that's going to add up pretty quick. So
That's true. Yep.
now's a good time.
Same with 58s. That actually $11 off that SM58 switch. I mean, it's not exciting, but if you have ever forgotten to like mute your talkback mic, a switch mic is a nice thing to have in your work box, you know.
Yeah, and maybe that's good for on-stage performers who, maybe are able to just switch on and off themselves. It's a
Yeah.
good option.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you guys have an IEM system and you want to be able to communicate with each other, you could just have that one switched mic on stage that goes to everybody's IEMs but doesn't go to the audience, and then you can kind of like say, hey, you know, I don't know, say something funny or say something to communicate with the audience or the band members.
Nice.
I think not only Sweetwater had sales though, but Musician's Friend
Yes, they
also had some
definitely did.
sales. So I think, what about Thomann for people across the ocean who can't get Sweetwater?
Oh, great question. I'm on Musician's Friend right now. I just wanted to show really quickly some of the sales they have going on in live sound. Just a quick overview. Up to $300 off PreSonus, up to $350 off JBL, up to $1,000 off Behringer. I mean, if you're looking to get some live sound gear, now's really the time.
Yeah. And rather than, we were trying to figure out what's the best way we could make a video here on Black Friday, because like I said, the ability for us to use our links and offer those to you to click and make a purchase, and then we get a commission off of that purchase at no extra cost to you, that's a really big deal for us and for everybody who has a YouTube channel. But I was thinking, like, nowadays you just basically you go on the site and it already tells you all the best deals, so us getting on here and trying to find the deals and making the video about that, it seemed to make less sense than us getting on here to answer questions that you might have right before you end up buying something. So again, like, I apologize if it seems like we're just saying go to this website, but I think if I were you, that's what I'd probably do, is just go check out Sweetwater's live sound deals and ask myself, what do I need, and pick out deals based on that. I thought the best way for us to help you today was to actually just get on and answer questions that you might have during that process. So we've got a few more minutes. Are there any other questions coming up?
There's a question that I really like. May I ask what headphones you are using right now?
Sam, you've got the
M50Xs, these are the
right?
headphones I've used forever since I was like 15 and got into audio. It's like the same pair too, because I know them, because I understand them. I know where they lack. I just know the quality of them. So I bring them everywhere. I love them.
Well, and show them how they fold up too.
Oh yeah, great feature.
Yeah, definitely. So when I'm traveling to anywhere and I put the headphones that Sam's got in my work box, because
Yeah.
they just fold up so nicely.
Yeah.
They also have the removable cable, which is nice.
They do.
Right, because sometimes that can get bent. These I'm using right now, these are the Behringer DT770 Pro. You can't really see it. So these are the closed back version. They've got the DT990 Pro, which are the open back version. As you can see, I've got the Beyerdynamic actually sent me this this. Oops. Let's see. Can you see that, Sam?
Let me
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was some custom ear pads. Here are the ones that come with it normally. Now these are actually, I think, even a limited edition. I'm like limited edition on limited
Yep.
edition, man. You know.
That's the way to be.
But yeah, these are the Biodynamic DT770 Pro with custom Christmassy ear pads that I thought was appropriate for this stream. Uh, these are pretty solid. So I'd say like for entry level, but still nice, either the M50X that you've got
Yep.
by Audio Technica or the Biodynamic DT770 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll notice these don't fold up. So I don't bring these anywhere. I mean, that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of space, you know, to even put in a backpack or something.
Definitely.
So what I end up doing is I travel with the ones you've got, Sam. I can highly recommend the Neumann NDH30. These are
Nice.
super nice. These are open back. They've got a closed back as well. But as far as like best sounding headphones that I've used, these would probably be up there. And then these right here, the Sennheiser HD, I think 290 Pro. Is that what these are called? No, HD 490 Pro. These have got to be some of the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn. Again, we're on a live sound stream right now, and I'm talking about open back headphones.
Right.
Open back headphones probably don't make a lot of sense for a live sound engineer because you're going to be hearing what's outside plus what's coming through the headphones. If you're looking for something for live sound specifically, I'd recommend what Sam's wearing. That'd
Nice.
probably be my number one recommendation in that price range.
Cool. Before we get to the next question, I just want to say really quickly the DT770, that's what the model is of the Behringer. Those are $30 off right now for the.
Nice. Not Behringer, Biodynamic.
Oh, Biodynamic. That's
Yep.
what I meant.
Yep.
My bad. Yeah, so $30 off this Black Friday. So,
Nice.
yeah. Okay, our next question is people say you get what you pay for. How does that apply when shopping for powered speakers at different price points? What's the real advantage for paying that extra for top brands?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think you're going to see differences in the power capability. Like, you know, the amp is built in. So the amp on every powered speaker will be at varying power levels, right? And that itself doesn't necessarily mean much. But when you look at the power capabilities of the amplifier and the sensitivity of the speaker that's in that powered speaker enclosure, you're going to end up having a speaker that can only be turned up to this level and then it starts to distort. Whereas this one over here can get much louder while maintaining very low noise levels and very low total harmonic distortion. You also, in addition to some get louder than others, that's the simple way of saying what I just said. Some will get louder than others. You'll also have different I/O connectivity. So some, I think the K12.2, the QSC speaker, that actually has a microphone input. So now, if you just need a microphone to go to two speakers, the QSC K12 will allow you to connect a dynamic mic directly into one of them. It has a preamp built in, and that would come out of one of the speakers. But if you needed to, you could take an output from that goes to the other speaker. So that's another point. Some speakers will just have an input, which means that if you need to send to a left and right speaker, even if you're sending the same content, you would need to have two outputs on your mixer, one going to each speaker. Whereas the case with the K12 by QSC, it actually has an input and a loop out. So you could go into the left speaker, loop out over there to the right speaker, and now you're only using one output on your mixer. Um, Again, you wouldn't be able to do stereo if you're doing that, but you would have dual mono. And then let's think, what else? I mean, sound quality obviously will range a little bit. Um, Directivity could also be impacted by different designs. So yeah, it's a lot of different things adding together. The weight of the actual thing, the dispersion pattern will change, and like I was kind of saying, the frequency response in general will change. Um, let's say you're going to use the monitor for as a floor wedge. You may have better results using one monitor and getting a lot more gain before the microphone starts to feedback Although, now that I say that, that's more so a function of the microphone itself than the speaker. So I think I've covered the differences. You've got some are louder than others, and the interconnectivity being two of the main factors to look for.
Cool. Well, that seems to be it for our questions today.
Okay. Well, hey, we're right in time. Now we're going to take off and we're going to go talk to our members for an hour about just audio stuff. Because, like I mentioned, sometimes you can't just like consume more videos and reach your goals. Sometimes you need to consume information, work with it a little bit, and then ask questions and get feedback and work on it some more. So that's what we're off to do. If you want to be a part of that, please join us by using the link, either that QR code or the link below the video. And if you can't make it to join us this time, just today, we'll have the recording of this session up for you available, as well as weekly content that will be released that goes deeper than what we cover on the YouTube channel. Okay.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving if you're a person who celebrates Thanksgiving. Yeah, I sure am thankful for the audience and for my team and everything like that. So